Let's go!
I am going to be doing a quick interview with the folks over at EVO, specifically discussing a whole bunch of stuff like our presence there, what we're going to be doing. We had similar things happening last time. We kind of want to talk about what is going to be happening at EVO, what's changing, what's different, all this kind of stuff, with some maybe fairly interesting things that we can talk about and stuff that could be influencing it. We'll see. So without any delay, I'm going to go ahead and chime in here. I'm going to switch over the screen and we're going to go say hi to Rick, who's right over here. And there we go. Rick, can you hear me? Are you there? And it's not coming through. Is it muted? Is the push to talk thing?
No.
There
good,
you go.
Maybe. Hello?
You're good. You're
there
good. I can hear you.
We have so much fun audio struggles.
So much fun. Just debating all this stuff. Anyway, hi dude, how's it going? So EVO 2025, and you just finished Combo Breaker. How are you feeling?
Motivated, honestly. Like I think part of me has to intrinsically be broken because I come off of these high workload events and my immediate reaction is, let's do another one.
Yeah.
Right away. And
yeah. I kind of,
big one
from a creative outlook, I get it. It's like you have an idea immediately of how you could fix it. And yeah, I think we talked about this like almost literally at EVO last year when we had the stage presence and, you know, the weird concept of you're going to stream live when you're here. Like, what is that? Why is that interesting? I'm like, trust, it might be cool. Like, we don't know yet. And yeah, we already had like several ideas of how this could be better in a variety of ways. But I think what we want to do is sort of highlight what's different at EVO this year, right? Like what has changed, what is going to be different from EVO 2024 from previous years, like how big it is, because it is a substantial upgrade over previous years. But before that, there's a first announcement, I guess we want to say. And can you lead me in on that?
We can. We come bearing gifts.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So Max is coming back to EVO. We talked about that in the announcement show earlier this year. He already brought it up tonight. I think it's always slightly rude to invite someone to come to your home and not invite their friends too. So we brought something for chat tonight.
And yes, we actually talked about this, and I remember specifically, and Rick's like, hey, do you have like a number that has any like value to your stream or something like that? And I'm like, yes, I do. So with that being said, I'm going to switch this over right here. Notice at the bottom of the page, chat, we got a discount code for EVO tickets. And I would like to thank Rick for making 21 and Las Vegas appropriate. We have a 21% off discount if you go to start.gg/EVO and you use the code MAX21. This is like we're letting friends into our house. I am not going to explain the meme. I am not going to explain its origins. But all I can say is that's cool. That's really cool that you guys allowed this to happen. You know, registrations are getting later. We're getting closer to the event. It's like a month and a half-ish away, or not that far from now. So
it's about 8 weeks. It's a little close.
So for anybody that's, you know, been looking forward to this, or you're on, you know, you're on the edge and it's like, oh, will I be able to do this or not? Like, we're at the point now where you can make a decision and that can be a reality if you want to plan a trip of some kind. So again, I'll be at EVO as much as I possibly can, but it isn't just me walking the show floor and at a booth or something. There's a metric crap load. I think that's the official term we're using this year. And a metric crap load of stuff that's actually happening at this event. So can you take us through a little bit of it, Rick?
We can. Is there anywhere that you actually want to start, or should we just run it?
Oh, let me check. Okay, so related to the actual perspective that I'm in, because we actually technically have quote unquote a booth right on the final day. It's a stage, and we literally do a group stage with an audience behind us, and it went emphatically well last year. But we ran into some issues with like there was chair thieves and all this crazy stuff that was happening. We didn't want to like interrupt the overall stage experience from the main hall where like all the finals are going down and stuff like that. So yeah, how is the arena different at this year's EVO compared to last one?
So there's a couple of different ways that arena experience is playing out this year. A big one is the arena area itself is a ticketed experience this year. So there's one chair per ticket. If you've paid for that ticket, you're going to be able to get in. You're going to be able to sit. We're not going to have to combat a fire marshal, or the fact that modern fighting game fans watch every single game all day long and don't leave,
which is crazy.
And it's beautiful because that didn't used to happen. So that's one big change. Second one is in the convention hall itself, we have hung a gigantic screen on the far side of the tournament pit, which on Sunday will have plenty of seating in front of it so you can consume the finals there. Around that area, there's going to be your watch party, for instance, which we've got upgraded audio for, we've got more seating for, so that that can be both the intentional experience we hoped it was last year and something that's a lot easier to take part in and to take part in comfortably.
Yeah.
Outside of that, there's also going to be screens all around the venue so you can stop and watch the finals experience anywhere Saturday and Sunday throughout the venue space. So if you're actually wandering around the festival environment, taking in the rest of what the show has to offer, you don't have to miss anything at any point. You can kind of choose where you want to be.
Yeah, I remember us even talking about the convention center and how different that is, and how finals day isn't just relegated to, you know, the Mandalay Bay one big arena. Yeah. It is a giant communion of every part of the show floor. And that's a big thing about the day 3 of the show floor, is that there's still like a day 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Day 3 is there. All the activities are open. Arcade's still open. I think it's really important that all of the stuff is still open because we're running top 8s again this year. So it's a longer day again, not the hellaciously long that it has gotten in the past, but a longer day, because we need to actually make sure that all those matches are there and we have time for them.
I almost forget that, like, yeah, the top 6 meme is gone now, and we're back to top 8s. That happened, which is a lot, because we started talking about like the different games and things that are available at EVO this year. And I think one of the things that people aren't realizing is that, dude, KI's at EVO this year. Like, it isn't a thing that is like hidden. Like, it's on the main center page and stuff like that. So can we talk about like the listing of like how many games are technically being fully EVO supported?
Yeah, so we're running 16 games this year. That's 16 brackets that we're running, EVO staff, that are going to have top 8 medals, that are going to have trophies, that will get coverage. There are 8 of those titles that are the arena titles this year. That's Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, Guilty Gear Strive, Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, Under Night in Birth 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and throwback game this year is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So all of those get into that arena experience. We have 8 titles that are in the extended lineup this year, games that we want to make sure are still part of EVO, because there's just so many good fighting games, Max. So we got Rivals of Aether 2 at EVO for the first time this year. Virtua Fighter 5 is back at the show. King of Fighters 15 is still hitting up the show this year. Blaze Blue Central Fiction is going to be on the show floor. KI is on the show floor. Capcom vs. SNK 2. Samurai Showdown and Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 rounds out that extended lineup. And those games have their finals featured on the large format convention stage that we're also running the EVO Showcase on Friday, as well as a couple of the qualification stages out by your watch party. So throughout the weekend, we've got all 16 of those running, and that's not even including the games that the community is going to run in the BYOC. So EVO is very intentionally trying to get back to, in Vegas, running a lot of fighting games, because
and that's
there's so many good ones.
That's a thing, like the spirit of even, you know, like events that you've run in the past, like Combo Breaker, just a ton of games are kind of like there. And it's great to see how much official support that they have now, you know, just seeing these sort of like looser, smaller, most dedicated community fighting games having that much official EVO support is sick now. What I'm concerned about is how the hell am I supposed to watch it all? So I'm gonna have to make we're gonna have so many screens. We're gonna be just inundated of Matrix screens everywhere. And yeah, like that being said, I'm pretty sure it's like full Pro Tour support from Capcom Pro Tour, TWT, Arxis World Tour, Virtua Fighter support as well at this EVO.
So Virtua Fighter Open Championship is running pretty much. If there is a publisher program active at the moment, it's at EVO. We're trying to support that. I think anytime that we can work together with the publishers to support the players, it's where we should be. It's where we need to be. So EVO's definitely putting that down.
Sick. Okay, wonderful. So that's one part. And the other one is talking about the ticketed arena experience that a lot of people have had questions about, because this is a bit different than the previous year. It was a little haphazard, and as you said, what sort of happens in a finals day in the past is that these unique communities sort of show up for their game and then they would peace out, and there would be like, in the past, like an exodus after Smash, Melee, or Ultimate or something like that, right? Or even Tekken. But now all the communities seem to be like one. So how is that arena experience going to be like a lot different in terms of like the ticketed arena experience?
So we've built out a new arena finals experience space in the Las Vegas Convention Center. It's properly ticketed this year, not because I really want to have a gated finals experience, but you need to actually make sure that everybody who wants a seat and has purchased a seat can get a seat.
Yeah.
We have retrofitted that whole area to put more seats into that space. We have dynamically changed what the actual staging environment is going to be like at the front of the room. These are the literal largest screens that can hang in this facility and still get signed off as not tearing the roof down. So we are trying to make sure that this is not only dynamically different from last year, but is the type of premium experience that not only EVO is supposed to deliver, but that makes that little bit of extra money spent worthwhile and appropriate.
Gotcha. Cool. And outside of, we're talking a lot about finals day because there's a lot of finals day and, appropriate fighting games to fill the finals day stage. There's so much other stuff that makes EVO special, between like arcades and Artist Alley and cosplay and everything. But one thing that got kind of introduced over the past not too long ago was this idea of museums, and this idea of like we have a show floor dedicated to just the history of fighting games and stuff. How's the museum experience like this year?
I think it's fantastic. So it's legitimately bigger than it's been in the past. It is refined from what it's been in the past, and it's trying to move into that next stage of what it's going to become. So the arcade stick museum is actual proper peripheral museum. You're going to get sticks in there. You're going to get some of the new leverless devices in there. You're going to get the absolute rarest things from Mark Mann's collection that we can drag out of his house and bring to Vegas. And then the art museum itself is significantly larger, both because we have publishers engaged with that so that we can showcase some of the pieces from their archives, but also because we have Shinkiro and JB Style there this year as featured guest artists. So we're showcasing some of their work, including new work from Shinkiro that has never existed before.
Oh, really?
This show will debut at this show. And I'm really excited about the fact that one of the things that I think museums are supposed to have that we didn't have last year is you go to a museum and you exit through the gift shop.
Yeah.
And so this museum this year has a gift shop where you can buy copies of some of those famous artworks, so that it's not just show up and appreciate and go home and view it again on your phone. It's go home and appreciate it and put it on your wall where it belongs so that you can appreciate it in proper size.
I literally have Shinkiro art like all over the place back here. So, I'm wondering if I have to rip these things off my wall, but maybe not.
We've got some you definitely don't have.
And then, talking from an artist standpoint, and I know from obviously my community, right, and everybody that's been a part, like art is a huge part of my life and is a huge part, I would say, of the fandom of the channel, much less the community that we have. So I already know several people that had Artist Alleys last year's at EVO, at Combo Breaker, at tons of tournaments across the way. So Artist Alley, EVO, anything really special this year, or is it just still Artist Alley that we've always come to know and love?
I think the Artist Alley is important to EVO because, again, it's a culture element that you're talking about there. Back at EVO, still gigantic at EVO, still curated, so it is artists that are actually focusing on fighting games and fighting game culture. We're doing some niceties for those artists this year, helping them out to make sure that their experiences are better, whether that's literally just getting them support staff so they can take bathroom breaks or grab food. But I think the principal part of that is if you treat artists well, artists engage with shows in really important ways. And I think that's a cornerstone of any good festival convention style experience. So that's back at EVO with as many as we can fit.
Yeah, exactly. And like that's, again, most of the time and money, I would say, even in the past where I go to EVO and engage with vendors and stuff, man, Artist Alley is just huge. And the positioning last year was also really nice, right? Like where it was, there was always a lot of like show floor activity going on in between there. So I just heard from so many people that I know that have made art for me in the past, like I sold out. Like that's so cool. So outside of that, this is a big personal one, and I was there last year when we were setting up things, and you guys were still setting up the show floor, and these trucks started showing up, and I literally am watching my childhood get rolled out of these trucks on huge pallets, and it is arcade machine after arcade machine after arcade machine, and I got to experience a little bit of that last year. And this is no promise, chat, but we're trying to do something special with the arcade at EVO in 2025. So yeah, can we talk about the arcade experience at this EVO, and what are we looking at in terms of any upgrades?
We can talk about arcades all day. So yes, we're trying to do something special with Max in the arcade this year. And I can come and I can tell you the arcade's bigger, the arcade is better. The arcade is moving to the center of the show floor. So it is truly a place where you can pass through the arcade going anywhere else.
It was in the corner last year, like an old Alpha 3 cab just sitting back there, you know?
But I think the arcade is really important to EVO, not just because fighting games are rooted from arcades, that EVO is rooted from arcades, but one of the things that I've heard talking to players around the world is, particularly in the modern generation of fighting game player, they haven't experienced an arcade. It wasn't part of kind of their local region coming up. It wasn't even available for huge chunks of the planet to have access to. So getting to go to EVO, putting a gigantic 300 plus cabinet arcade together so that you can really live out that experience, I think it's an important piece of the history for the show. It's really important to me as an activation, and we get more variety in it this year. Like, we've got rare classics like your Pac-Mans that you expect, and actual rare classics like Quick and Crash or F355 Challenge, that old triple cockpit racer.
Oh yeah.
We've got crane games in the arcade for the first time this year. We've got some Gashapon to go with that. We have storytelling elements in that arcade because we have the history of Terry Bogard in that arcade. So if Terry Bogard was in the game and it was on a cab, it's in that arcade.
So you're telling me 150 games are going to be dedicated to Terry in the 300 arcade library?
I mean, the arcade vendors that we're working with have promised me the history of Terry Bogard.
Okay.
They're, by sheer scale, I think there has to be an omission in there.
There has to be one or two that don't make it in.
But something's in there. And then, that's going to be next to like School of Ragnarok and Toki Densho and Tetris and Puzzle Fighter and DDR. And we've got the Dungeons and Dragons pinball coming this year. And all of that is wrapped up in the fact that this is bigger, this is better. Part of why it's bigger and better is we finally actually have support for the arcade itself at the show. Like Voodoo Ranger stepped up and went, wow, arcades are sick. We should be part of bringing that to the modern fighting game fan, or just fighting game fans in general.
Yeah.
And so it's not just the 1, the 2, the 3 trucks that you saw coming in last year. We don't have enough docks on the side of this convention center for all those trucks to unload at the same time. That's the kind of arcade that's coming to EVO.
That's sick. So we're looking at, if you're looking for an arcade experience, probably close to on par with what is Galloping Ghost in the Midwest or something like that. We might have some of the biggest congregation of a bunch of arcade machines in one place outside of a other just coin op convention.
I think, at least what I have been told, is the only arcade activation, or at least traveling arcade activation in the States larger than this, is the Pinball Retro Expo.
Exactly.
Which is an entire convention center on its own. I can't promise we're going to ever successfully chase that, but if that's the bar, we're damn close.
Yeah. So, Chad, a reminder, the first announcement we had today is that I'm just working with the EVO guys. Obviously, they have effectively given us a really cool platform, this room to do this co-stream thing, a stage presence, all of that stuff. And, we've been closely associated with EVO since like 2012 with like old Assist Me stuff. So they were cool enough to get a discount code. This isn't something that I'm like, officially working with them on, but this is the idea that, hey, you know what? If you haven't gotten into this thing yet, or you're looking at possibly getting a chance of getting into EVO, we have Max 21 for 21% off. So if you guys are looking at this stuff and you have not yet registered, or you are looking at joining into a game, quiet Kenny's over here saying the meme, that if you use Max 21, you get 20% off the ticket at startgg/evo. So just a heads up. Outside of that, a few other things to cut topics on indie game devs. It says 10 plus indie fighting games. Like what?
Yeah, so obviously got the history of the genre sitting in that arcade. I want Evo to get back to supporting the future of the genre too. And so there had been indie fighting games at Evo historically. There was a gap year in that last year. So this year we're bringing that back, trying to bring it back with a vengeance. So we have an actual proper indie dev gallery curated for the show with community members even assisting in that curation. So it's going to land. All set up with proper booth experiences. They've got backdrops, they've got standees. We're helping make sure they don't have to fly in with monitors. This is something where they can show up and celebrate what they're working on.
Yeah.
And as an event, we can celebrate right along with them.
That's great. That's great. And that's the thing I've really enjoyed at some Evos, that some guy just grabs you. Hey, I want you to play my game. Like, and
Right.
yeah, they just have a setup. You just go check it out, give them some quick feedback, and then like, get to say, I hopefully see you in a few months, something like that.
Yeah.
And in that same space of community engagement, Vampy bit me and a bunch of cosplay stuff, right? Like Evo and cosplay is pretty huge. So I remember the cosplay showcase last year. I got to tune into a little bit of this stuff. It's bigger than ever now.
Yeah. So we've got that contest has been growing at every Evo for the last few years, both domestically and internationally. So that's back this year. We've got Vampy Bit Me as a judge again. We've got Kaho Shibuya. We got Monolith Customs coming out for the first time. I expect that to be not just a bigger experience than it's been in the past, but to really, really do what I love fighting games doing, which is bringing people together worldwide to celebrate this genre, these characters, this fandom. And the winner of that contest actually gets a paid trip to any Evo of their choice.
Oh, including worldwide Evos and stuff like that?
Worldwide Evos.
Oh, wow.
So,
okay. The one that's next to the beach might be nice. Like
the one that's next to the beach might be nice. The one where the genre started might be nice. If you really just want to come back to Vegas next year, that's an option too. But if you're putting that time into getting great at cosplay, you can come prove it at Evo, and we're going to reward that effort by letting you go prove it again somewhere else.
That's great. And I was kind of blown away about last year when I was walking the show floor, because I literally didn't get an opportunity to do it because we were just streaming 8 to 10 hours for the first 2 days, and then God knows how long we were there for the finals day. But on Saturday night, I just got to walk the show floor and it was empty, but I got to pretty much relive an E3 in an Evo. So that's the crazy thing in terms of like publisher engagement and what's happening at Evo now with all of its associations is that, dude, like walking by the MK booth, and then the 2XKO guys are over here, and then there was Fatal Fury, and then the giant Marvel versus Capcom collection thing, and it was like, dude, this is nuts. Like imagine this on the day of when they're signing things and doing all these giveaways and stuff. So in terms of publishers, how are things looking for Evo this year and like show space?
It is a show floor full of publishers coming to Vegas to really kind of show you what they're working on, celebrate what they've been working on, and create opportunities for everybody to come together and actually, experience that as a community. I think that there are so many cool pieces of that have been at the show in the past, whether it was some of the Dragon Ball photo ops that came up last year with Sparking Zero. Capcom had that carnival at their booth a couple of years back where you could literally just play games and win tickets and prizes, just like a really old school arcade experience. MK's booth last year was a phenomenal, just visual piece on the show floor. Whole bunches of that are coming back this year.
It's great.
And some new ones.
So, I mean, I have to, the chat just keeps hanging, and I can't help it. I have this opportunity to potentially see how the future could be through a looking glass. A little game might have gotten announced yesterday. I don't know. It was at a Sony event. Maybe you've heard of it or something like that. There's this Tokon.
No, not a shot. I live in a cave.
Yeah, like no, it's a new thing, So this big Tokon game made by Sony. Is there any hope? Is there any chances?
So I think obviously every fighting game fan on the planet at the moment is exciting about Tokon.
A little bit.
Fighting Soul looks incredible. I'm still laughing at Tasty Steve over the phone on Sajam's stream of that. We have been working with that team to kind of figure out what a collaboration between Evo and that project should look like.
Okay.
I can't speak to that today. I mean, the trailer came out yesterday. Hasn't been a lot of time from then to now yet. But I'm not great at waiting to say cool things could or couldn't be happening. So we're talking constantly right now about what we can do together leading into their launch in 2026.
Okay.
And I'm pretty excited to share what some of that's going to look like.
Okay.
Just not right now.
Okay, I get you. I get you. I just want to poke the bear a little bit, you know. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but if we can just sort of connect the dots and some neurons could be firing on like, hey, you know, this is a good spot for things like this. Let's just hope that maybe.
It really is, and I consider myself a creature of hope, so let's see where it goes.
All right, cool. You know what? That's, I think, the best we can ask for right now for what is effectively one of the most fresh announcements that could possibly be there, but still, it's something that's on everybody's mind. So, also, EVO showcase stuff, right?
Yeah.
And am I reading this right? The special event is Justin versus Betty, and okay, I'm going to try to do a ballpark guesstimate of what that showcase match is. That is somebody that has been challenging a bunch of like professional Japanese players that is now going after Justin, where he's like, I want you, or they're like, I want to fight you.
Yeah, Betty's been going down this line in Japan of famous players and famous personalities around Street Fighter 6, and at EVO Japan this year popped up and challenged Justin to a match in a I'm coming for you legend killer sort of way. Justin accepted, and it feels like a very appropriate way to watch that match happen live in Vegas. So Betty's coming out, Justin's coming out. That'll be one of the featured things that happens on that showcase stage on Friday. That'll be right alongside some of the publisher panels and some of the announcements and reveals that come through during that day at this point. There's some game show activities on that too. That stage, what that Friday is supposed to continue growing into is this really, I think, wonderful mix of what fighting games as both product and culture have turned into.
Yeah.
And yeah, Justin and Betty are capstoning that for us this year.
Cool idea. Yeah, cool idea. I knew a little bit of the history, but chat is describing it as the Unk Destroyer, and she's common.
Well, and I should tell everybody, if you are not familiar with kind of the Betty lore that has led up to this match, if you head over to YouTube, check out the EVO FGC channel. There's an entire video that'll get you up to speed on that, alongside a whole bunch of other great documentary footage that the team has been putting together over the last year. But there is a primer ready and waiting for you tonight when Max gets done streaming. Yeah, which technically is probably tomorrow.
This is a wonderful opportunity to shout out the EVO FGC YouTube channel, chat. Every time I get a chance to do something with these guys, I do. Like Esteban, his crew, like all the guys that have been running this stuff have been doing a dynamic, incredible job at just creating a ton of content around the history of EVO and the love of its games and all of that stuff. So by all means, if any of the mods in either of the chats has the EVO FGC like YouTube channel, please, or the official EVO channel. I think it's EVO Events, right, Rick?
Yep. So EVO Events is where you'll find all our match footage, our actual live events when we're running the shows. EVO FGC is where you'll find a lot of that documentary content. It's where you find the Legends series, where you can find out the history of, Goichi this week, or Itabashi Zangief was recently there, or a really great one to me is there's a video over there on Matsuda-san and the history of tournaments that he's been running in Japan and the story behind those. So that and a whole bunch of other great videos are just over on EVO FGC.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I think that's a lot of stuff. As a reminder, chat, the code is literally right down there if you guys want to register at start.gg/evo. And that can be a pretty big discount, like 21% off the overall pricing and how EVO is this year, because everything has expanded. Everything's gotten significantly bigger. We're in a different planet than we were 1 year ago, and this discount code is pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, it's a base ticket of $199 at the moment. Like, that 21% adds up fast. But we're also absolutely trying our hardest to make sure that there is $199 worth of experience at EVO for you on that base ticket this year. And that there's even cool stuff to do literally just in the ticket reg. Like, this is the first year where you can buy a ticket to EVO and customize the badge with exclusive Street Fighter art.
That's cool.
It's one of the first times you can go to EVO, and I think we've got almost every major endemic vendor available on the show floor. So if you forget your stick at home, there's options. Nakon's going to be there. Victrix will be there. Arcade Shock will have that giant activation again that we see every year. Tesseract is showing up this year. So I think there is a wealth of things to do at Evo that makes that ticket worthwhile. And the fact that you get every one of the rest of us around you that weekend too to kind of rally up that energy level, it's going to be a good show.
One of the biggest changes to Evo that happened from the convention center perspective, different from previous years that I just was like, how the heck has it not always been this way, was the fact that a day 3 was budgeted in, you know,
Yeah.
like an actual functional day 3. And for those of you that were obviously at Evo last year, if that was your first Evo, you know, understand that the years that came before, dude, day 3 was the shutdown day, and we all congregated to a specific location back in the day, and that was it. But now you have a full functional everything, the arcade, like all this stuff that happens is still going to be going down day 3 with finals. And that stuff's just going to be happening around you because all the screens will be projecting what's happening in the finals to the whole room.
Yeah. Like that day 3 to me is really important because I've definitely been one of the guys where day 2 ends and you rally into a hotel room to watch finals and still try to hang out with everybody who's come to Vegas.
Yep.
Getting to actually hang out with them in the arcade now. I mean, there's 40 hours of arcade time alone at Vegas there when you think about when doors open and doors close. But I love that we've actually got 3 full days now. And yes, there are costs associated with that, but I really think that time is valuable. And that's a big part of why we're at Las Vegas Convention Center. It's a big part of why I like being at Las Vegas Convention Center. Because I want to be able to spend those days with everybody.
That's great. And I think as a heads up for our perspective, we are going to have a slightly different configuration that'll be maybe a bit more accommodating for our finals day with, you know, the crowd and all of the dudes on stage as we just like riff-raff all the way, you know, for all the top 8s and announcements therein. And trust chat, last year it was like, can we even do this? It was more of an idea, and we just sort of winged it last year with no really preconceived plan outside of just a couple of things. So this year, trust, I have an entire storage shed just full of posters and memorabilia and items that I'm like, I need to do something with these. Kenny needs to drive because we have to find ways to have giveaways and things like that and actually engage our audience, like the people that are watching. So if we want to talk about like, you know, quizzes and questionnaires and interviews and participation and all that kind of stuff, we definitely want to do some fun things in between all of the top 8s and announcements that are going to be happening on that finals day.
Does that mean we're going to get a Maximilian garage sale?
It's nothing's for sale. It's just it's going to be giveaways, man. It's going to be like, it's just going to be, please take it. I don't know what to do with it, man. So, yeah, I think that's about it in terms of some of the questions I had. I'm very excited to see publishers and stuff. I know, chat, everyone's asking, what games are you going to be playing on stream this year? Who is going to be showing up? Trust, we're doing our best to try to like manage and coordinate those things, but also know that on those first couple of days where I'll be streaming and rebroadcasting the event, kind of like a curated Evo experience, we'll be talking to several people. There will be, you know, developers that show up with stuff. The schedule of that happening will be up to determination as we get closer. But the coolest part is that I'm having, with Rick's help, and obviously people at like Tenno and folks that I've been closely associated with a long time. We got some friends that are helping us out with the stream even more this year. So I don't have to like be running around and doing stuff at the same time. We can just focus on having a really good time. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. So thank you, Rick, for putting all this effort in for running multiple tournaments a year that are not even just EVO coordinated, because got to start remembering that this is a worldwide event now. And yeah, I can't wait to go this year.
Wonderful. I want to shout out 2 things before I leave, if that's
Sure.
all right with you. First of which is, Mary, thank you for making a graphic for us at an 11th hour after Max and I decided we should do this yesterday.
We were like talking about this and all of these cool graphics, chat, and all these like videos and stuff like that. I was like, got these like 30 minutes before the stream. I'm like, I cannot not use these. This is so cool. Like, look at all this stuff. It is incredibly cool. Thank you, Mary.
And then a big one for me, because I don't ever want this to get lost in the scale of what EVO has become. There's a lot to promote at EVO. There's a lot of cool stuff at EVO. But if you head over to evo.gg right now, if you go to the event page, you scroll down, there's a form for BYOC tournaments. If you want to host a tournament for a game that's not in that arena or that extended lineup, I would love to see every fighting game known to man at EVO, because I think that's what's supposed to happen. We have table space for that. We have power for that. We have monitor support for that. If you want to run a game, bring a game. I'm happy to be one of the guys that tries to play it with you.
Yeah. Awesome. And yeah, like all that community support on the side has been one of the foundations of EVO for like one of the longest periods of time, which is like, it always has felt it be grounded with it being an official giant supported event. It always has allowed it to exist, even with old MVCI tournaments and stuff like that. I remember that in like 2019, which was really fun. So, yep. That's about it from me. Thank you so much, Rick. We'll be talking very soon. Any more official stuff in terms of how our presence is going to be in those first couple of days, announcements and associations. I'll make YouTube videos. I'll be talking about it. I'll be updating the chat on everything that's going to be going on our front, but trust that we're looking forward to announcements. We're looking forward to the eventual top 8s this year. They're no longer top 6s. And yeah, I cannot wait to see some of my favorite fighting games and just watching them with tens of thousands of people at home. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Max, thank you for the time tonight. Chat, thanks for hanging out with us. See you soon.
All right, cool. Have a good one, Rick. I'll see you, man.